Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ride to Independence. I am here with Jon Rudnitsky.
Yes.
Hello,
Hello,
Jon.
Trish. How you doing?
Thank you so much for coming on the
Thank you so much
show.
for having me on the show.
Of course, of course. So, Jon, you grew up in New
I
Jersey.
did.
Tell us a little bit about those
I
roots.
grew Yes.
And hold on, one more question. Were you one of those New Jersey
Yeah.
kids who skipped school to go to to go into New
Yeah.
York on the
Uh-huh.
bus or Sandy Hook or Seaside Heights? Come on, you can
We went to Seaside Heights for my prom. I do remember that. I definitely
Okay.
went down the shore a bunch. I actually got arrested down the Jersey Shore when I was 18 in LBI for using my brother's ID to get into a bar. My mom remembers that story pretty well. And 'cause the cops gave me a choice between, kicking my family out of the hotel or arresting me, and I said, "Arrest me," and my parents were really upset. "Why did you do that?" Because then it ended up costing more to get rid of the charges. Anyway, I don't know why I started with that. So I didn't really skip school. I was a pretty good kid, but I would go into New York
Oh,
on the bus occasionally and go see shows. My mom would honestly drive me into the city and do open mics and do
oh,
UCB
okay.
classes and all that, and, yeah, so but I always felt like I lived in a suburb at
Alright, well, you were a good kid then, you were a
kind
good kid because I can tell you some of the things my husband's, a lot older than you, but they used to skip school and go in to see all the porn and whatever 42nd Street used to offer
Yeah,
back then, but I think you're too young for
well,
that.
it's more that porn was readily available to me on a desktop at that point, so I didn't have to go in the city to find it.
Okay, okay. Now, so John,
I didn't know it
I
was
know that comedy is something that comes to you
yeah.
naturally. I think it comes to you naturally. I mean, and have you possessed that at such an early age, or did you develop that as you decided to get into the arts?
Um, Comedy specifically, it was I
Yeah.
always loved. I was always the ham growing up, kind of class comedian and would be, entertaining my friends, entertaining my family, you know, always in the center of the dance circle at a bar mitzvah, So
Really?
I like the
Okay.
attention. I like making people laugh, so um
Yeah.
but
How early did you feel it, John?
always, I was, like, in theater and improv, and, camp, performing arts camp and, you
Oh,
know,
okay. So you were in
plays at
camp.
the
Okay.
JCC, and I just was always doing it,
Right.
and then, yeah, in high school is when I started doing stand-up and open mics, and my mom would drive me to the comic strip, and I would do the open mics there, and then UCB classes, yeah, I started doing as well, in addition to the improv team at school. So comedy was just always very much a thing that I was pursuing. It. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, for as long as I could remember, stand up
Who
started
told
at about 15.
John, who told you were funny?
I think it was probably my mom mostly, but I
Okay.
had, I I I wasn't playing sports with my friends at recess. I was like running up with a stick, asking them how they felt the game went. And I think feel like that kid could really get his ass kicked, or that kid could be kind of like, you know, propped up. And I'm very fortunate that
Right, right.
I just grew up in a really angelic little town in Jersey, and I had a really good grade of like supportive, positive kids. And I think that that's really rare. And I think that that made me feel confident and comfortable to be like a silly goof. And
Yeah.
and I had such support that it made me feel like that I could even pursue this as a career because I think it can kind of go one of two
Right.
ways. You either, maybe you do this because you got picked on, or you do this because you know, you had a nice upbringing. And
Yeah, yeah, no,
I feel
it's
very
it's it's
fortunate.
it's important that people yeah, it's important that people in the arts, a lot of people who've made it into the celebrity
Yeah,
status, they've had parents who supported
yeah,
them, right? They had parents who supported them.
Yes.
And, my daughter is a professional
Yeah.
actress, and she's been doing a lot of independence. She's been doing it since she was 9 years old
Wow,
also. When she first got her pilot with PBS, she did a pilot, and that's when I thought, "Oh, okay, she might have something." And she's still doing it, and she
that's
loves it.
great.
And it takes a lot of energy, as you know,
Yeah,
to make it. Takes a lot
it
of
takes a
energy.
lot of
But,
resilience, most of the business is rejection, the wins are very few, so you have to have a lot of hope
right.
and resilience, I would say,
Sure, and yeah, and luck, I have to
and
say,
luck.
but and luck.
And luck and s
Yeah, but
and
you
support
graduated,
helps.
from USC?
Yeah, that
From
was, I feel like,
USC?
a big thing because you're talking about, your daughter
Yeah,
getting that pilot and that being, like, a big shift for you. I
right.
think for my dad, I think me getting into USC was that big moment for him because I think,
Mm,
my dad was supportive, but I think there's a piece of him that's like, you should have a backup. Maybe think about going to business school, which I would have failed out of. Like, I was a terrible student, but the idea that
yeah,
anyone would even pursue this as a primary thing is obviously a concern for any reasonable parent. And I only got into USC because of an audition. My GPA was not nearly good enough, but I got in through the arts program that they had there. They had a program for sports and arts kids, and uh,
okay.
where basically they understood like you're going to take some slower classes, and I did. I took like study skills or something, and I think my
Yeah.
dad was like, okay. I mean, I got into the best school, one of the best schools of all my friends.
Oh, oh,
Of all
yeah.
my friends who,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
worked their asses off in high school, and they're like, "What the hell? How did this happen? John, you're, like, the worst
Right.
student ever." So, it was like, because of a monologue. So, acting, I think that was the first time my dad was like, "Oh, maybe acting's actually the thing that's gonna get you further along than trying a more traditional route." So, yeah. So, I got into the BFA conservatory acting program there, and fortunately that
And
yeah.
and you won the John Ritter Scholarship Award.
Yes, I was in a, play at school,
Yeah,
uh, that,
yeah,
called The Flea in Her Ear, an old farce, and, yeah, I won a scholarship, that was exciting, so, yeah, all these little things along the way, are
yeah.
are, green lights and reminders that, "Hey, maybe you're on the right path." And
Right, right, right. Well, I always say is, the universe will guide you into the right path, and if doors do open, then you're in the right
yeah,
path.
yeah, yeah,
You're in the
yeah,
right path. So, I believe in the universe opening doors for us and us having the intuition to take those
mhm.
paths and, doing something with
Yeah,
them.
I agree, I
You know?
agree. I've 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 I've
It's
I've seen that, I've experienced that firsthand, and the things I've wanted to do, they happen, you know? Maybe they don't happen how I think they're gonna happen,
right.
and maybe even when things don't go the way you think, there is something fortuitous about what I've
Yeah.
experienced, so I've learned a lot from
Oh, yeah.
pursuing.
Well, you're definitely in the right path, and you've also worked along some incredible
Yes,
people. You worked with
ye
George Clooney in Catch
yes,
22. You worked with The
yeah,
Rock on The Red One. Lindsay Lohan, our little
yeah,
secret, by the way. I know that's the buzz.
yeah, yeah,
The little
yeah, yeah, yeah,
secret, Lindsay
yeah,
Lohan. But you've learned from collaborating with such different personalities.
yeah, yes,
Uh, you think that that's helped you grow also as an actor?
100%. I mean, being
Yeah.
around major movie stars, you can see why, especially in this day and age, why certain people have staying power. Because talent's one thing, but if you're a piece of shit, frankly, you don't last. You know, I feel like in the last 10 years, even
Oh,
the most
yeah.
talented people who
Yeah.
have
You won't
bad
last.
reputations kind of fall by the wayside. And like George Clooney, Rock, Reese Witherspoon. These are people who I really watched know everyone's name on a set and lead with, you know, real kindness and I think that that's real clarity about what they want from everybody and just,
Yeah.
you could see a real work ethic. Even the Rock,
Sure.
I was only on set for a day with him, but he came up to
Mhm.
me, he knew my name, he knew where I was from, he
Nice.
knew I was on it. I
Wow.
mean, I would, like, equate him to what I imagine, like, the president might be like. Not the current one, but,
Yeah.
a different one maybe. And,
Right. Of course.
but, just that kind of level of, thoughtfulness and professionalism, and it's like a above and
Yeah.
beyond type thing, so, but yeah, I could speak at length about each of those people,
Oh, of course. Well, look at, Reese
yeah,
Witherspoon. I mean, she's a billionaire, and how did she because she was able
yeah,
to take her celebrity and transferred in a business
yeah,
sense, with her book club, Hello
yeah,
Sunshine, and she really just explored
yeah,
that and took and used her
yeah,
celebrity, and it's wonderful there's people like that who are using their celebrity not only for to build their business, but and she's using it for good,
yep, yeah, 100%.
and a lot of these actors use it for good.
Yeah, Reese is an exceptional human being in addition to being very talented. She's just very smart, very thoughtful, very strategic, very
Yeah,
philanthropic. Yeah, she's unbelievable, powerhouse. And
yeah,
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 I experienced that firsthand. Working with her, that was my first movie after, SNL, and she really took me under her wing and was just super supportive and became like a friend.
very
Yeah.
nice. Now that you brought up
Yes,
SNL, I know that you were just one of the cast members who made it into the 41st
yes.
season. Normally they hire a few, but you were the
I was
only
the only one
one,
that
and,
I was the only Yes, I was the
correct?
only hire that year. It was really, you know, growing up, that was my favorite show, that was my dream. I didn't think it
Right.
was, even possible, but I mean, I did also. I was like, in a dream world, I'll be on SNL, but, you know, that's what a lot of people feel, and, you think, "Okay, I hope I get this thing," but the odds of it happening are obviously slim, and I was 25, and I was fortunate.
Wow. You were
I was
25?
25. I
Yeah.
was at the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival, Montreal, which is a big comedy festival, and from my performance there, I was invited to showcase in LA, and then from there, I was invited to screen tests in New York, and, I was opening at this point, I was on the road as a feature opening for other headliners, breaking even or losing money at bowling alleys or whatever, and, I got a call at a casino in Minnesota that I was about to perform,
Uh-huh.
from Lorne Michaels that I had gotten the job, and I lost my mind. It was the craziest moment of my life, and to this
Yeah.
day, it's the first thing I got, so, it's the highest high. It's the highest high. It's
Right,
the first
right.
big the first big
Yeah.
the first
That
big,
that's
yes,
yeah. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
amazing, that's amazing, that's wonder, especially for a
Yeah.
comedian because that's the top of the
Yeah.
line. But you also did Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is one of my favorite shows.
Yes, Curb is my favorite I grew up
Curb!
watching Curb. Curb was always my favorite show ever, so sorry for the noise. New York is the loudest. Can you hear all this noise or no? Oh, good,
No.
good, good. There's so much noise here in this city, it's crazy. Um, but yeah, Curb was the show I grew up watching. I mean, I used to, like, race home during lunch in high school to watch the episode from the night before, um, because and I'd watch it 3 times, that week before the next episode, and I know all the lines from the show. Larry's, to me, my comedy hero. I got my
Yes.
comedy language from him, and,
Oh, did you? Yeah, yeah.
it's almost the way I speak as a person comes from
Yeah,
Larry, and, like,
right.
it's a worldview.
Yeah. Well, he's an East Coast guy. I mean, he's an East
He's like the
Coast.
only true
And
superhero, I think, in this
yeah, yeah.
his
I mean,
superpower is to tell
I
people what he
I
thinks about them without any
yeah.
remorse, and I think that's very enviable, The social assassin. Social assassin.
he is such a typical New Yorker. I'm still shocked, and I'm still upset about him not doing Curb Your Enthusiasm in New York City. I don't know what the logistics was in that and why he decided to do it in
Well, he lives
California,
in
but
California,
because he's
so
such a New Yorker, maybe that's why it
yeah.
works,
There is one there is
right?
there
Because he stands
there is
out.
one season in New York. There's one season in
There's one season in New
well,
York, yeah, but
Larry
I
lives a very nice life in California. I mean, lives near his country club and the golf course, and I think he probably didn't wanna do it.
yeah.
He probably liked driving 5 minutes to work. But, no, that
Yeah,
that show was an
yeah.
amazing experience, and I really wanted to be on it. Obviously, I didn't think it was feasible that I would be on it. Same as SNL. I met Larry at SNL. I auditioned for it shortly after. I got a small part on it where I played a waiter who, Larry wanted to order off the kids menu, and I told him he wasn't allowed. And then I got cut fr I got cut from the episode, but Larry called me to tell me I got cut, which was really is very rare. That doesn't happen. We normally don't
Yeah.
find out you're not in the episode till it comes out. And he was thoughtful enough to know, I think, how much it meant to me to be on the show. And if I had waited, 6 months, a year to find out I wasn't even on it, it would have been devastating. But he goes, "Don't worry, we'll have you back." 4 years later, there's another season, and I end up getting to play young Larry, and which was a much more significant role. And while getting cut, that guy, like I said, these things that happen that, seem like maybe a bad thing at the time end up resulting in something better. And because I got cut from that episode, I ended
Yeah.
up getting a much greater opportunity and feel so honored that I got to be a part of it. And
Yeah, I saw that episode, the young Larry trauma, yeah.
yes, it's so fun. It's all improv. You get these little synopses for the scene that you're gonna do, and then you riff on that. So I was riffing with my comedy hero. We're improvising,
Yeah.
and it was really fun. To try to piss him off is a fun thing to do when you grew up watching the show. I kind of knew exactly what to say to piss him off.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's how he works. Everybody knows that he works in improv.
Yeah.
He likes improv. That's why the show works because everyone is bouncing the energy off each other and it's improv. So I think that's why it works. And Jeff Garlin, as you know, he's hilarious. I've seen him at the Comedy Store when I lived in LA, and believe it or not, I was his personal trainer,
Jeff Garland?
Jeff Garlin.
Really?
Yeah.
When was this?
I lived when I lived in Beverly Hills, I lived there almost 6 years, 5.5
Wow.
years, and, Jeff Garland I worked at one of the, elite spas, and Jeff Garland, hired me. I was his personal trainer,
That is
and
wild.
he's just
That is
hilarious.
wild. Oh my god, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love Jeff. Jeff's such a great guy.
I love Jeff. When I first started this podcast, I called
Oh,
him,
really?
and he said, "Trish," and I said, "Jeff, you gotta come on my podcast." And he said, "Trish, but I'm not a senior." I said, "Jeff, stop it. This is for my bonus
Yeah,
show."
yeah, yeah. Well, you tell him I did it, and then maybe did he come on?
I am. I'm gonna send him this episode, because I still wanna have Jeff come on my podcast. I love him. I think he's hilarious. When I go into LA, I love seeing him at the Comedy Store because that's where he
Yeah,
performs,
yeah.
and,
Jeff's a
yeah,
great
he performs there, so it's really
Jeff's a
nice.
great guy, and he's
But,
been very good to me. I've gone
oh,
on the
yeah.
road with him, actually, to open for him for a weekend, and we had a lot of fun. Special guy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, he's enjoying life. He's enjoying life. But so John, comedy takes a lot of vulnerability and courage, as you know. How do you keep how do you keep showing up with being authentic even though the world expects you to always be funny? Is that hard?
Yeah, definitely. I think
Yeah.
comedy is the kind of exhausting thing, and it's not exhausting compared to what everyone else does. People always say, "Oh, comedy must be the hardest thing." It's really not the hardest thing. I
Oh,
think
okay.
probably every other job might be hard. But there are what is hard about comedy is that you are constantly putting yourself out there. And, you know, if you're putting yourself out there all the time, a lot of shows aren't going to go good, especially when you first start. And there is a rejection
Yeah.
that comes with it. That's different than, say, like, if you're doing music and you have a bad show, people might not like that kind of music. Maybe you fail as a band. Um, in other art forms, but it's you, it's your point of view, it's your personality, it's your faith.
Yep.
And if it doesn't go well, it's hard not to take that personally because it just is. But I think
Yeah.
in that you get a thicker skin, so that's good. And, yeah, it's
You have to have that thick
yeah,
skin. Like I always manage my daughter and I would tell her, "Listen, it's like another job. People are applying for jobs all the
yeah,
time. And, you don't get that job, okay, another
yeah,
job's gonna
yeah,
come along. So you audition, you let it go, and you
yes,
move on."
yes. The difference is, I think, with acting and is that happens like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
A year, maybe more. And with stand up, it happens almost every night, sort of thing. But I think the flip side of that vulnerability thing is when you say something that comes from a real place and you find a joke that if you find a way to make the things that trouble you funny and they work, then
Yeah.
then and people laugh, then you are suddenly feel okay that, oh, I'm able to channel these things into something that resonates with people, makes me feel more human, it makes them feel more human, and that's a really exciting thing. And so I think that's the upside to it. And so the upside to being really vulnerable is that, you can be rewarded, as much as you can be
Yeah.
rejected.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
of course, but do you approach performing differently now compared to when you first started out?
Um
You have to.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, totally. I was really way more rehearsed when I started out. I would like go up
Oh,
there and be like more
okay.
word for word and like a monologue, sort of thing. I wouldn't
Okay,
really
right,
veer
right,
off
yeah.
script at all. I was too nervous. And
Right, right,
now
right.
it's a little jazzier. It's a little more in the moment, or
Yeah,
even if it's
yeah,
not, it can at least feel that way. Or I have a general idea of what I want to talk about in a joke I want to land, but it'll kind of feel different every time because I'm trying to be in the moment. And I feel that I can because of
right.
how much I've done this. So, yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable. I'm a lot more capable. Like, I do better more than I do bad. You still have bad shows no matter what,
Yeah.
because just mathematically, that's what's going to happen.
It's a
It's
learning
a learning
process.
process,
It's
but
a
the
learning. Yeah,
bad shows get less. And when you have a tough circumstance, a show that should go bad, you get used to doing those shows and you get better at doing bad shows, so that even if it's should be a bad show, you end up doing all right. And so because
yeah.
you've done, a lot of double black diamonds, I guess, sort of stuff. Yeah.
Well, you know it's gonna be a bad show because you can feel like when you walk on stage, you feel the energy right away. You're like, "Oh shit, where's the energy?" And then
Yeah.
you have to create a certain
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you go, oh, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't meet the moment right, and sometimes and sometimes you can get them, 10 minutes in, which 10 minutes, is a long time. But, sometimes it takes a little
Yeah.
bit, or sometimes you get them right away and then you lose them and then you gotta get them back. Sometimes you're riding a wave the whole way through. Uh, every show
Wow.
is
Yeah.
different, and comedy's really, I think, good in that way because it keeps you humble, it keeps you on your toes. I think acting jobs really give you an ego boost. You get treated really well, you get pampered, actors on set
Yeah.
get treated too well in some ways. There are a lot
Yeah.
of people working harder than the actors on set. They're carrying around shit all day. They're on
Yeah.
their feet all day.
Yeah, they
Whereas
are.
actors are
Yeah, they
mostly
are.
sitting around and joking with each other. And you
Yes.
really get taken care of. And every once in a while, you got to say something on camera, and then you go back and you relax more, and you're hanging by crafty and
Yep.
eating. Um, and you stay in a nice hotel, you get flown out, first class. Stand up is like yeah, I mean, for me anyway, I'm boarding group 6.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
boarding
you.
group
It's
7,
you.
I'm in a shitty hotel, I'm going up, there's 33 people there. It's constantly humbling. It's just a constant reminder of, like, no, every time you're
Wow.
starting from 0 and you have to, like, earn the respect of this crowd, and tonight I'll have 2 shows, and maybe the 7:30 show I'll feel like a rock star, and the 9:30 show I'll feel like putz, and, you just keep going, and then I have a 1:30 AM show tonight too, so I've
Oh,
got a lot.
wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
you're
No, so
constantly having to prove yourself, and yeah, it's very humbling.
well, and you're constantly learning what
Yes,
works. You're constantly so it makes it easier, and so it just
yeah,
makes it easier and just makes it I mean, look at Jerry
yeah, of
Steinfeld. I mean, I'm sure you're a fan of
course.
his. I
Yeah,
loved his show. Who didn't love
yeah,
his show? Uh, he was always
yeah,
so clean with his stand-up. He didn't have to get dirty. He didn't have to say nasty
yeah,
stuff. He didn't have to, put people
yeah.
down. He was just such a smart
Yes,
comedian.
I know,
Just a
I know it.
smart
Yeah,
comedian.
amazing. Yeah, 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 he's like a prime example of discipline and 10,000 hours and shows every night. I mean, still, I mean, this is a guy who could just hang out in the Hamptons and enjoy his life, but
Oh, of course, of course,
he's
with his
but he's
family. Yeah,
committed to
of
the
course.
craft. He lives for it. So, I think that's inspiring
Yeah,
to younger comics, including myself, who, you can't ever get complacent.
right.
Um,
And a New
and a New
Yorker,
Yorker.
just like Larry David, like you. I mean, a lot of great comedians come from the
Well,
East Coast because you
this
have a
is
lot
where
of grit
the
and a lot of
angst is, the angst is in the East Coast people, there's a lot of yeah, I mean, any walk I go on in New York, there's material everywhere here, you know?
yes,
And so it feeds
everywhere.
you creatively to be around so many different kinds of people and to be around this kind of energy, and it's exhausting, but I think it's chaotic and good for it fuels creativity and comedy.
Oh, of
I mean,
course. And
the
John, do
fact
you
that I,
ever
like,
let
always hear
fear
a
creep in?
lawnmower, I mean, like, there's no lawn out there, but
Right,
even this, I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing right now?" Anyway,
right, right. Yeah, you write it
it's
down. Write it down. What are
infuriating,
they
but
doing?
I'll
Yeah.
write a joke about it, and then maybe I'll feel about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But John, you never let fear come into you where you just like get on stage and just like stage fright hits you. That did that ever happen
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you?
of course, so
It
yeah, oh,
did?
yeah,
Okay, when you first started
yeah,
out?
when I first started doing open mics in high school, my mom would drive me and I'd bring a bunch of friends, and I'd have this really well-rehearsed 10 minutes, and then a month later, I'd do it
Yeah.
again with a new 10 minutes, and then, one time I went in and I didn't invite any friends, and I bombed, and then
Oh.
I got so scared, I didn't do stand-up for years after that until
Oh,
like, my
wow.
senior year of college, and then a friend of
Okay.
mine entered me into this comedy competition at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, and that got me back into it. But even then
Wow.
but
Okay.
even then and then I kind of powered through the bad shows because I had a lot of bad shows even
Right.
then, but I just powered
Yeah.
through, and I, figured that I'd have more regret if I didn't pursue this thing, so it was worth it to me to have those experiences, but they're very painful, and
Yeah.
I mean, and it still will happen I mean, I still have shows where I get that panic, but I've done it enough that I know how to kinda weave and bob and weave. Like, even last
Okay.
night, I
Yeah.
was like, I had a joke in my head, and I couldn't
Yeah.
remember, and I had that little panic, and then I was like, "What did I wanna say?" And I think now I'm at a
Right.
place where I could be like I could even say on stage, I had something I wanted to say, just, I can't remember. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
I can be more
You can use it.
I can
You
use
can
it.
use
I
it.
can use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I can acknowledge when something didn't go well as opposed to pretending everything's fine,
Right.
and the
Yeah.
crowd, if they know and feel you're in control, then you can kind of do
Yeah.
anything. If they feel you've got a sense of control, but they can sense fear. And
Right. Oh,
even if you're
yeah.
pretending like you're not afraid, you can just tell. But that only comes from doing, you know? And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that repetition of getting up and doing it again and again and failing
Yeah,
and
it's
failing a
it's
lot.
it's important, repetition is what builds
Yes.
it. Yeah, what builds you, gives you more experience. So, John, tell me, have you ever been in a waiting room, waiting to audition for maybe a dramatic role or any
Yeah.
role, and other people start coming in, other that that they have more experience than you, you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
shit, I'm not gonna get it now? Look who just
Yeah.
walked in."
Yeah, definitely. That'll happen, or you're in the waiting room, some guy goes in, 10, 20, 30 minutes goes by, all you hear is them laughing, having the best time. You
Ugh,
go in there,
yeah.
you're in and out in like 3 minutes. You're like, that could that shit happens all the time. I remember for the Reese movie, funny enough, I mean, I'm just remembering this now because you mentioned it. Glenn Powell came in and
Yeah.
auditioned for the same role as me. I ended up getting it,
Oh,
but who has the better career? Glenn Powell
right.
ended up doing just fine. He's hosting SNL in 2 weeks, um,
Wow,
so that
yeah.
can happen too, you know? It's same
Sure,
kind of thing
sure.
where
No, cause
where you can
yeah, cause you know what, that actually happened with my daughter Grace. We were in the waiting
yeah,
room, and, then I start seeing other little girls, and I'm like, "Oh, sh" I was thinking in my head, I'm like, "Oh, man,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
she's not gonna get this role. Look who just walked in." And then I hear when the person walks into the room, I hear the director saying, "Hey, how are you? What's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, forget it." She ended up getting
There
it,
you
by the
go,
way.
see?
She ended
There
up
you
getting it,
go. There you go. See,
you know?
it's never what you think, and
It's who you know
sometimes,
sometimes.
but
It's
even
it's who you know
but
sometimes.
that can help, but you also have to be what they're envisioning for the part and what they're looking for, so and yeah, and luck and all those things, so, yeah, you just never know.
Yeah,
You never know.
yeah. So, John, tell me, when you're not filming or writing, what are your
That's a
hobbies?
real
Because 'Cause you're always working. Do you have
I
any
really
hobbies?
don't, and I was talking about this on I
Comedy's
was
your
talking
hobby.
about this on stage last night, but yeah, no, it's true.
Oh,
It's
were
just
you?
well, it is a fortunate thing that my job is also my hobby, is also my passion, also my
Okay.
but, yeah, I work out and, but I could use
Oh, good. I'm as a personal trainer, I'm glad you work
I
out.
have to, I have to, it's for my mental health, and I like feeling good
Yes,
and being in good shape, that feels good. I have too much
yes.
time in the day before my 9:30 show to not do
True.
something like that, and so I try to work out. I
Yeah.
walk a lot in New York,
Of course, you're in the
just taking
city. How
walks,
could you not
taking
walk a lot?
walks. My hobby is
Yeah.
probably eating and watching TV. I don't know if that counts, but I do a lot of that. I'm watching good movies and stuff, so, yeah, I mean, I just the Martin
Yeah.
Scorsese documentary, which is 5 hours worth of there's 5 parts, and I could have done another 5, but it's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So, John, what is your dream role
Dude,
in a movie?
man, I would just love to work with, any of my heroes. Anytime I'm on a set,
Yeah,
it's a dream, is the truth, but,
yeah,
you know, I don't know. Paul Thomas Anderson's, like, my favorite director, David Fincher, Scorsese, I don't know. Working with any of, like, the great
yeah,
directors would be a dream. Being on a just a good show, being on a good HBO show
yeah,
for 4 or 5 years would be
yeah.
amazing. Get it
A good
Yeah,
miniseries,
good
a
a
good
good, cool,
miniseries.
gritty something, or even a fun comedy, that 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 keeps
Yeah,
me paying my rent in the West Village and my life,
yes. Just for a few years, right? Keeps your rent just for a
just
few
for a few
years.
years, just because the rent is so obnoxiously high, and
Yeah,
I chose
yeah,
to live
yeah.
in
I
the
know,
most
I know.
expensive city, yeah.
But John, tell us something about the entertainment industry that's so misunderstood with actors and comedians.
Well,
What's so misunderstood, right? at
I
you
don't know.
about
Do you have anything
acting?
in mind, like, as an example of what you mean? Like
So, I mean, it's such a tough
yeah,
career. It's such a
yeah.
tough career. And, have you maybe thought about working behind the
Oh,
camera?
um, I love writing, and I've sold some TV shows, but never gotten anything made, but I'm always writing, and I enjoyed that. I think directing is such an undertaking and is so much responsibility and is so much, um, it's so much juggling so much, and there's a lot of logistics to being a director.
Yeah,
I don't think that's my
yeah,
expertise, you know? For me, like,
yeah, yeah,
I like getting to the dentist
yeah.
on time, you know, getting to the airport on time,
Right,
getting my
right.
bed made, getting my laundry folded. It would look like I was doing something very challenging. So directing a movie is so much responsibility. It's so much and
Yeah,
and and you know, actors, like I said, you come in, you do your thing, you leave. The director's sitting with that movie for 6 months, a year after you're gone. You know, it's
right,
so much work
right.
that
Yeah,
what I like about stand-up is I go up, I do the thing, it's done. Acting, I go, I do the thing, I'm done.
right,
I'm kind
right.
of always on the move, so that part I like about it. Writing, I enjoy with someone else. You know,
Yeah,
solitude is tough for me. I'm a mover, I'm an antsy guy, so those things I think are tough, you know, but who knows, maybe down the road, um,
yeah.
I wanna be more behind the camera. Um, yeah, so that's possible.
Well, I mean, you are just so talented, John. I mean, you really
Thanks.
are so talented. I was able to pull up some the stuff that you've been doing for a very, very long time. I'm actually shocked that you have not been tapped to do a pilot, because they're always tapping into comedians. I mean, look at Ray Ramon and, all these actors that had their own
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
shows because they were tapped.
Yeah.
So I'm really shocked that they haven't
Well,
tapped you, but hopefully in the
I
future
have
they'll come knocking on your door to do a show.
I did have a pilot. I mean, it wasn't, you know, yeah, I was I did get a pilot a while back that just didn't get picked up. It was for NBC. It was with me and Jane Lynch, and that was maybe
Oh,
yeah. This was a
okay.
while ago, but it didn't go.
She's
And it
hilarious.
was a multicam
Yeah.
show, so it was like in front of a live studio audience, but it didn't end up getting picked up. So I have gone through the pilot process. Um, and, you know, I did a network show for Fox for a season that got canceled. So those things do pop up. You know, not it wasn't like Everybody Loves
Okay, good.
Raymond or Seinfeld where it was like, you know,
Right.
everyone's pissed at John or John's World or whatever. It wasn't like revolved my
Well,
life, but I have got
they should,
well, yeah,
John, they should
that's
because
right.
you have a funny
I
family.
do. I did pitch a show about me and my mom, that got some traction a while back, but yeah. There's definitely a there's
I
definitely
mean,
a
you
lot of
can definitely do.
material there, and
Oh,
I got a
yeah. Oh,
I got a
definitely,
comedy
definitely.
special
But one
coming out
last thing
that
finally.
is, you know, has her in it, so I think, so
Oh,
maybe from
okay.
that, the
Wait,
pilot will get picked up and sold, who knows?
let's hope, and I have my fingers crossed. But one last
Yes.
thing, John, what advice would you give anyone who's listening or watching us? Because this will be on YouTube,
Oh,
by the
amazing,
way.
amazing, great. Um, yeah,
Anyone listening about getting into this business, what piece of advice would you get while they try to leap into this business?
um, it's all about
Just one piece of
yes, it's all
advice.
about resilience and persistence, and, you can't grip the bat too tightly, you know, you can't the job usually doesn't come, so you have to, expect rejection, and, you know, if things don't work out, you gotta just yeah, it's just about the ability to keep going, and the other thing I would say is a big one is you might not want it when you think you want it, you know? You might when I
Mm,
was younger, I thought I was good enough to get this, get the thing. And now when I look back on that guy, I'm like, thank God I didn't get the thing then because I wasn't good enough. And SNL's an example of that where I was
Yeah.
25, I got the job. I had a good audition, but I didn't have the tools to keep the job. And
Okay.
and so you wanna just take time to get good rather than get the thing quickly. And I think there's a rush to like, "Oh, I need this now." And it's like, you wanna be the best version of yourself and the most equipped
Yeah.
performer or writer or
Right.
stand up or whatever when you get it so that
Right.
you're not just pretending because that's really
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah. You wanna be ready. You
Wanna
wanna
be
be ready when it
you
happens,
wanna
when
be
it
ready, so
comes.
you should see all those failures along the way as not failures so much as things that are training you to get ready. And
Yeah. That's
failure,
right.
it really is, and these are all trite things. I don't think I'm coming up with any of this. These are things that I think everybody would say. The failures are so much more important than the successes. I've learned so much more from my bad shows. I've learned so much more from getting fired than getting hired. Um, that it's made me more fearless and it's made me more equipped and it's made me understand in the quiet times, which there are a lot of quiet times. You're on a set, you feel like you're going to be good forever. And for some people, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Some people go from job to job to job, but that's
Yeah.
0.001% of people. I'll be on a job. I'll be in Italy with George Clooney. I think I'm going to be in Italy with George Clooney forever. And then I don't work for 2 years. Now I know
Right.
how to handle those 2 years. Now I know it's going to be fine. You know, it might not happen tomorrow, but I know I'm gonna be all right because I know how this works now. And as
Yeah.
long as I stay focused and I focus on what I can control. And what I can control is I have a 7:30 show tonight. I'm gonna make $40, but maybe I'll say something that makes a bunch of people laugh. And that'll feel good. And that's the win
Right.
for the day. That's the win for the day. It doesn't need to
Right.
be an HBO show. Is what am I doing today to be better at the thing? And
Right.
that exciting job, it'll happen.
Yeah.
The Rock or
Yeah.
whatever, these things I've done, I don't know what that's gonna be, that next thing, but I don't need it to happen right now because
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
working on getting better, and that's what control.
You're getting better, and John, one thing that you
Yeah.
didn't mention is passion.
Passion,
You have to have the
passion and
passion to
resilience,
continue.
passion and resilience, you have to.
You have to have it.
The people
Yeah.
that make it are the people that stick it out because it's very easy to give up and spin
Yes.
out and spiral and, you know and
Yeah, exactly,
stay active and
exactly,
productive, It's tougher it's tough
exactly.
if you're just acting, it's really hard because 'cause you're waiting for a phone call from an agent, you're waiting for an audition that's right for you, and that's, how many
Right,
auditions are exactly right for you? Very few, so you have to try
right,
to
right,
generate for
right.
yourself and stay creative, and
Yeah,
and so I'm
exactly.
lucky that's kind of
And you're not waiting. You're constantly working. You're working on your craft, which is important. And you said something earlier. People learn from their failures. That's the number one thing that pushes people
Yes,
forward because they learn from their
yes,
failures and they take those failures and they grow from
yes,
it. Whether it's business, whatever business you're in, you learn from your failures and you take it, and that's what makes you
yeah,
successful. Well,
yes.
John, thank you so much for coming on Right to Independence. I
Thank
appreciate
you, Trish, I
you,
appreciate you.
and I will definitely link anything that you want in my notes for people to
Okay,
watch.
okay, okay.
Any shows that you have in New York City, please let me know about them, and I will try to, well, I won't try, I will. I'll link them, and then hopefully, I'll come see one of your shows for
Please,
sure.
please. I would love it.
Yes,
Thank thank
absolutely.
you
Thank you so much, John. Take care.
thank you so much, Trish.